Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today is the first episode of a brand new series where I preview and predict the games each week in the Championship. Hence the name, Championship Previews and Predictions. It took me so long to come up with that. I was going to be throwing some other stuff in there as well and maybe at some point get some guests as well, hopefully. But without further ado, let's get into the first game. So the first of two Friday night games hosted in Lancashire to open the Championship season is Preston North End versus recently relegated Sheffield United. Preston are off the back of a solid 10th place finish under Ryan Lowe, someone who has united the fan base in recent years and shown his tactical know-how. This game is going to be a huge test and indicator to show where Preston can finish this season, especially after they lost all of their last 5 games. They were also ranked 23rd for XG last season, and with the departure of Alan Brown, it's going to be a tough season for Preston. New signing Thordarson will be expected to start and be the replacement to Alan Brown. He got 11 goals and 2 assists in 36 games in Denmark last season, so it will be interesting to see how he gets on, and the same with Loney Sam at Greenwood. As for the Blades, it was an extremely disappointing campaign in the Premier League last season, conceding 104 goals with a minus 69 goal difference. They will want to get points on the board straight away to counteract that minus 2 point deduction. I'm really excited to see their new signings in action at Deepdale, particularly Harrison Burrows, Callum O'Hare and Kiefer Moore. Feels like a really exciting new rebuild for Sheffield United with a takeover in the near future, but I am confused as to why Wilder has stayed in charge. As for my prediction, I think it's going to be really close. Sheffield United might just get it, but I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Sheffield United signings might just need some time to gel, and Preston's home advantage should guide them to the point. Then on the east side of Lancashire, Blackburn host newly promoted Derby. 3 points above the drop for Rovers last season and were heavily reliant on Sammy Smodics, who is still at the club at the time recording, and if they can keep hold of him, that'll be amazing for Blackburn, but it feels inevitable he will move away. John Eustace is a manager I rate highly, a solid Championship manager. Max Algay and Yuki Ohashi are players I'm really looking forward to seeing. Did I say those right? Then Pool 1's Derby, who were promoted with 92 points from League 1 in second place. But as we've come to learn for Pool 1, his time with Rotherham, well, he is an expert in the third tier, not so much in the second. And the fan base still seems pretty split over him, especially after some poor pre-season defeats, such as a 4-0 loss to Chesterfield. I could see it's going anyway, but I'm going to go just with a Rovers 2-1 win. Then the first Saturday 12:30 game is Cardiff versus Sunderland. Cardiff finished 12th last season, but massively outperformed their XG, which was the 3rd worst in the division. Some pretty good additions so far in Kanga, Chambers, El Ghazi and Willock. Intrigued to see how they get on. Then for Sunderland, it's the first time we'll see Lebrie's side in action in the Championship, but so far in pre-season he's shown he wants to play possession-based pressing football, and we'll see how that translates to the league campaign. This one I'm going to predict a 2-2 draw. I think both teams will score, but Lebrie may need more time for his team to click. So from one capital to another, QPR host West Brom, who finished 5th last season, who set up really well under Carlos Corberán, especially defensively. And QPR also have one of the best managers in the league in Marti Cifuentes, who guided them to safety last season. And now with a pre-season under his belt, we'll be hoping to build on that. I'm going to say that Loftus Road will be too tough for the Baggies to get all 3, so I'll go with a 1-1 draw. Then Michael Carrick's Borough welcome Swansea to the Riverside, where Middlesbrough will look to have a good start to the season and improve on the 8th place finish last season. I'm excited to see new signing Aidan Morris from Columbus Crew play, who got 6 goal involvements in 16 games in the MLS in 2024. As for the Swans, Williams got them to 15th last season, but with the departure of their top 2 goal scorers in Lowe and Yates, I think they'll struggle in this game, and I'm going to say 2-0 Middlesbrough. Next, a game as a Pompey fan I'm both excited and terrified for. Our first game back in the Championship in over a decade, away at title favourites Leeds. I do still think we're probably unfinished in terms of transfers, but 2 recent midfield additions in Dozzell and Matt Ritchie are making me feel slightly more confident. Our pre-season hasn't been great either, losing to Wickham and Charlton aren't promising signs, and now against a team that in most other Championship seasons would have been automatically promoted in Leeds, it's going to be really, really tough. And as much as I'd love to be optimistic about this one, I think we will just lose. I do think we'll put up a fight though. I think we will score, so I'm going to go with a 2-1 win for Leeds. I mean, Daniel Farke, 3 90-plus point seasons in the Championship, and it's such a good squad. So very tough to beat. Next, Millwall take on Watford at the Den, and it's pretty worrying time for the Hornets. Kone will be a big loss. Not many signings, and overall probably a weaker squad than it was last season. Add to that the inexperience of Cleverley, and I think Millwall will just take this one. Down to their new signings such as Jensen, Tanganga and Langstaff. And I don't care if it's not quite Guardiola ball, but Neil Harris's football works brilliantly. So I'm going to go for 1-0 Millwall win. Then it's the Battle of the Yellows at the Kassam, the first time Oxford will be playing in the second division in over 2 decades. For Norwich, new manager Johannes Hoff-Thorup will want to get off to a good, fast start on the road, and one of his main goals will be to reduce the goals conceded. I think they only conceded like 5 less than Birmingham, who went down, but the additions in defence should help with that. Then Des Buckingham's Oxford last season only 72 points in League One and only got into the playoffs on the final day, and whilst they will be underdogs in this game, and probably all games this season, that suited them very much in the playoff final, and I do think this game will be close. I could easily see Oxford nicking this, but I'm going to say 2-1 Norwich. Then Stoke face Coventry at the Bet365 Stadium. Stoke only stayed up by 6 points last season, and relegation looked a real possibility at times for the Potters, and Schumacher will want to make sure they're nowhere near that this season. But Coventry is a really tough test on the opening day. Hadji Wright and Ellie Sims' 37 combined goal involvements last season, and additions of Jack Rodoni, Thomas Asante and Louis Binks I think will guide Mark Robbins to his first 3 points of the season. So I'm going to say a 3-1 away win for Coventry. Next is Hull versus Bristol City, and the Tigers have lost so many important players, notably Jacob Greaves and Jaden Philogene. In fact, all of their top 10 scorers from last season have left the club, and a new manager in Tim Walter might need time to get his players to adapt to his style of play. Against an exciting Bristol City side under Liam Manning, who I think will come home with the 3 points in a 2-1 away win. Bristol City were excellent last season defensively, only 3 teams conceded less than them, and their attacking problems should be sorted by signings Mayulu and Sinclair Armstrong. Then 2 teams that finished next to each other last season in 21st and 20th, it's Sheffield Wednesday versus Plymouth. And it's Wayne Rooney's first game in charge. Obviously he did terribly at Birmingham last season, and I think it came to a shock to many that he got another championship job so quickly, and he knows that he needs to do well this season, and a quick start away from home would be ideal. However, they're against Danny Roll's Wednesday, and overall Roll has transformed them through pressing and shifting tactics dependent on the opposition, and a great increase in attack primarily in transition. And if you want to see a full 10-minute video on that, I have a full video about Danny Roll, his tactics, and if Sheffield Wednesday can get into the playoffs or not. So watch that after this video if you want to. But yeah, a lot of new exciting additions at Hillsborough, like the 2 lows, Jamal and Max. In addition to the home advantage, I think the Owls will take this one 2-1. Then a game that just months ago was a Premier League fixture, Luton versus Burnley, and although it's only the first game of the season, they are both favourites for promotion, and it should be a really good game. And I do think Scott Parker might need time for his side to gel, whereas Rob Edwards has already built a strong United side full of cohesion, who finished above Burnley last season, of course, in the top flight. So for that reason, I'm going to go for a Luton 2-1 home win. A lot of 2-1s, I feel like. And now it's time for the best championship players for the first week of Fantasy EFL. At first, the best goalkeeper pick. Now, obviously, you might first be drawn to Melier or Angus Gunn, but you probably want Leeds and Norwich players elsewhere, and I prefer a more differential option. So I would go for James Beadle of Sheffield Wednesday, an exciting young keeper who could very well keep a clean sheet, but nonetheless will make some saves. In defence, I think it's hard to look past Leeds' Ethan Ampadu. And as for midfield, as long as Sammy Smodics is at Blackburn, he's an excellent option, especially up against newly promoted Derby, and I think Callum O'Hare's another good option for Sheffield United against Preston. Up front, I think either of Norwich's duo of Sargent and Rowe are good picks against newly promoted Oxford. Latte Lath is another great option at home to Swansea, and Rutter at home to Pompey another. There you have it, that is episode 1 of preview and predictions for the Championship Match Week 1. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I want to see your predictions for this week's games. Let me know in the comments. I'm going to figure out like a scoring system for next week, so get down and you can keep track each week of how many points you got and compare it with me. So please do that. But thanks very much for watching. Again, yeah, let me know in the comments if you don't want to do full predictions. Let me know what you think I got wrong, probably everything. But thanks very much for watching. See you in the next one. Goodbye.